Hello, this video is going to be about YMAX, stock ticker YMAX, and let's just get into it. July, we had a nice 4 candle week down. This is a weekly chart, weekly downside. Now if we move this forward to today, or last week I should say, we're looking at lower prices for YMAX of around 1440 and 1250. Now, why do I say this? Because YMAX has a lot of stocks in it now, kind of related to the overall market. So what do? We look at the overall market. Here is the July square, the July downside. Now, if we moved it to today, or should I say last week, we could see where the price could be in the future. This is not a prediction. This is just analyzing where the price could be in the future and reacting accordingly, and using our signals to not predict but to react to price movements. So I have been working on my signals. Now I have created a script for TradingView that I will link for free with P5JS web editor. I just copied it into there. I figured out I made a game. It's a stock trading game. It's a lot of fun. I have a previous video uploaded about that. But I will link this exact indicator for free in the description below. So how do you read the indicator? Well, there are a couple moving averages on the blue moving average and a yellow moving average. Now I forget exactly what they mean specifically, but when it crosses up, that's positive. When it crosses down, that's negative. And when it's above the zero line, that's considered positive sentiment, so to speak. And when it's below the zero line, it's considered negative sentiment. All right. What else do we have on this indicator? Well, we have a green and red histogram, I think they call it. Now, the green and red represents money flow index, and the zero line represents neutral. So above zero is positive money flow index, and below zero is negative money flow index, and when it's below zero, it turns red. This purple line represents the RSI, also using zero as neutral. But attached to the RSI is a Bollinger Band. Now, Bollinger Bands are wonderful because they can, when the RSI exits the Bollinger Band, it is considered an extreme either buy or sell. So when it's below the Bollinger Bands, that's considered an extreme buy. There needs to be some sort of bounce, a relief bounce of taking profit if they're short or whatever, and people entering when to go long when it's in the extreme. Then the same can be said about the upside. If it's outside of the top of the Bollinger Band, well, we're looking to sell. It's pretty straightforward. And then there's a middle line to the Bollinger Band that could also be used as an indicator to enter or exit a trade. There are shaded areas. These are areas of, I don't know, buying and selling. Red is selling, and then green, if there is a green. Here's a green. So you can see it's an area of buying, so to speak. Now, for an exact description of what these areas are, you might have to ask Grok, because I used Grok to code this, and it works. It aligns really good. You're gonna have to check it out. It's gonna be in the link below. There are also these crosses. Now, if you have a hard time seeing them, you can make them bigger. But they represent a red cross for a sell and a green cross for a buy. They're not very accurate. if you ask me, but they do represent something that happens, and that's all that matters. So the overall market, now that you know something about the indicator, the overall market in 2022, using the indicator, the money flow index turned red. So if we fast forward to today, the money flow indicator turned red. So we're going to copy the move that turns red and move it forward and look at where the price could be in the future. So what we find in this scenario is that these two first weekly candles match perfectly, almost perfectly, to where we're expecting the price to be in the near future, which scares me a little bit, which means that even this week, these are weekly candles, we could move another gosh darn $5 down to the downside with an extreme $10 down to 577, 576-ish. That will copy this 3-week candle and it achieves this movement in 2 weeks. Now that's really scary. But the VIX has not really increased in price. It's still around $20. So there is not that much fear, but there is fear. If that's. And then the next weekly candle matches with this lower movement. If we included this big gold green candle below the 3-week movement, this copied weekly candle from 2022 lines up perfectly with the previous movement. So is this what is going to happen? I don't know. It could happen. That's what it's there for, to see where we could be in the future. And that'll make YMAX a great buying opportunity in the next 2 weeks. Should we buy it today? I don't know. I mean, maybe dollar cost average. But it's got Bitcoin stocks in it too, so let's discuss Bitcoin as well. You can see that this might be the greatest stock crash in our history that will dwarf 2022 and dwarf 2020. 2020 I thought was bad, and I think it could get worse. So let's go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we do the same thing. We copy this entire move, this big red candle from May 21st or May 10th, 2021, all the way to the bottom candle here, and we moved it forward. Get rid of that one. All right, we'll just leave this here for now, but I take this and I move it to the current weekly candle, and what do we see here? We see that candle matches the size of this weekly candle. Now what's crazy is that this weekly candle is bigger than 2021. This is a giant candle, a giant gosh darn candle. And currently the price of Bitcoin is 79,000 as I'm recording this video. And let's try to wrap it up here. But if you're wondering why the price is where it is, there was a bull flag here that suggested a price of Bitcoin of around $84,000. Now, if you draw a line using these other weekly candles, using the wicks and the closes, we can see on a 1-minute chart a little bit more clearly why the price action is happening where it is. So here was this 84K, using it specifically as support and resist, and it fails straight into this higher weekly close wick, and it was being bought up and or sold by, depending on what part of the trade you are. Failed that and goes where? Into the other weekly candle. And now it has just been rejected On the 1 minute chart, technically, the 80K level has just been rejected again, which means more downside for YMAX, because YMAX has all those has some crypto stocks in it as well. So we got to be careful. There's if we look on the SPY on a longer time frame, let's go to the weekly chart. Of course, remember the SPY represents a lot of the stocks in YMAX. If we use our signal correctly, we had a cross down in the blue and yellow. We have negative money flow index. The RSI has exited the Bollinger Band, so we should see slightly more downside. It could possibly be more downside followed by a bounce. We should get some sort of bounce. Where are we going to bounce to? I don't know. But if you move these other candles, if you copy these other candles, I mean, you can see where we could potentially bounce or fail. So there's no guarantee that when the RSI leaves the Bollinger Band that is going to bounce. It could just go lower. All right. But once again, I'll have the indicator in the description. Simply open up the Pine editor, erase whatever is there, and paste it in and add to chart. Also, this movement for Bitcoin matches perfectly to these levels that we created. Now this bottom level is 60K. Well, 60K is a psychological level. Is the first candle of the downward channel in this bull flag. Isn't that wild? The 70K psychological level, 70K lines up with a lot of the price action from before too. So not only that, but we have a higher high and then a lower high of 105K if we copy that move forward too. It's not looking good for anything.